How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. This is from 1989, so yeah, last year to get those 80s slashers out before they become 90s slashers and Ghostface takes over. This is directed by Dominique Othenin-Girard and stars once again Danielle and Pleasence, returning from part 4. Now, I said this before, but Halloween 4 and 5 are the very sequel-y sequels, and if we hadn't have done that whole Season of the Witch experiment, some version of them would have come sooner, and we probably would have got a lot more, because, you know, the 80s fire would have still been going, and that's an interesting alternate universe to think about, one where the Halloween franchise plays out more like the Friday the 13th franchise. And yeah, that's something to think about. Now, 4 was really interesting because you got to see the whole new generation. 5 is still fun. It's still a good slasher, you know, better than a lot of the B-grade ones. But it's definitely in the lower third of the series. Like I said, it's still good. It's way better than the original theatrical cut of Part 6, and it's better than Resurrection, but, you know, it's an odd duck with a few weird choices and a few weird, you know, things that they probably shouldn't have done, you know. This has that opening with Michael Myers sliding down the river and, you know, the whole Hermit scene. This has the barn cats and the cookie woman, the weird comedic cops, Michael Myers driving around in a muscle car, you know. You have the weird mask in a few shots, and of course the man in black with the steel-toed boots running around, you know, setting up Part 6. So, yeah, it's got weird stuff in it, and it's far from the best. In fact, the barn scene, I could say, feels much more like a Friday the 13th movie than it does a Halloween movie, you know, so it kind of, yeah, and a lot of the characters in this feel like B-grade Friday the 13th characters, but it's still fun. It has some cool moments. The kills aren't as impressive as other entries in the series, in particular Part 2 that came before this, and the characters aren't as good, and they make we'll talk about a character that goes way too quickly in a minute. And then you also get weird character decisions. You know, Jamie's mute, Loomis is insane, and yeah, you can start to see this one go a little bit off the rails, but like I said, it's still fine. It's just, you know, has definite problems, but there are some cool moments towards the finale. You know, like I said, the barn scene's kind of Friday the 13th, but it's still fun, and in the final finale, there is the famous laundry chute scene, which is pretty cool, you know, so it's good, but still on the lower third of the series, and it has definite issues, but overall, it's still fun to be had, but yeah, there's faults that we have to talk about as well. Let's go ahead and talk a bit about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few of the plot points, and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what the movie's about. And, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the river and the Hermit. We open up, if you remember the ending of the last one, no spoilers for this movie, but spoilers for all the previous. The end of the last one, Michael Myers falls down a mine chute as the sheriff's men are shooting at him. In this one, we get to see him crawl out of the back of the mines before they blow it up, and Michael Myers, in kind of a goofy scene, gets swept down the river, and you get to see him go, whoa, and it's just odd looking. You know, I get the concept, but the way it's shot, it just looks silly, you know? But speaking of silly, Michael Myers, when he washes ashore, finds a hermit shack. He tries to kill the hermit inside, but passes out before he can do so. And the hermit goes, well, gee, you're in a bad place. Let me fix you up and take care of you. So, a whole year, while we're waiting for the next Halloween to come around, Michael Myers is just lying dormant on the cot in this hermit's house, and the hermit is taking care of him and feeding him. And then a year later, Halloween Eve, Michael Myers gets up, kills the hermit, and walks out the door. That's a goofy concept. I mean, it makes sense. It's something that could happen. But yeah, Michael Myers living with the hermit for a year, I always just felt that was kind of silly. But anyway, we jump forward to Jamie's plot. Jamie, it turns out, almost killed her stepmother. Yeah, they didn't have the guts to go through with evil Jamie, and you know, maybe I should do a video about it. What would have happened if they let Jamie stay evil? But yeah, they didn't have the guts to let Jamie stay evil, so she almost killed her stepmother, it turns out, but she's okay, and she's staying in a hospital for children. And so she's in there, she's mute now, she won't talk, and she, when Michael Myers wakes up, develops a psychic link with Michael Myers. So yeah, add this to my psychic link playlist. But she starts to see visions whenever Michael Myers is about to kill, but she's mute, so she can only get the least bit of clues out there, so it's not the most helpful thing in the world, but she can, you know, stutter and almost say something, or she can try to write something down or draw a picture, so she can get a little bit of clues out there. But this psychic link plot, A, it's introducing a big magical element out of nowhere, and B, they don't really develop it enough. You know, there's one scene in the beginning where she almost stops something, and then one scene later where they find a character, but it's not a really good, well-developed psychic link mystery, you know, so that's just a weird element thrown in. And then you get Loomis's plot. Now, Loomis is, you know, a lot of people believe Michael Myers is dead. The rule is, though, Loomis is always right. And Loomis does not believe Michael Myers is dead, and he is hanging around Jamie trying to get her to say something. When the psychic link pops up, Loomis is like, yeah, that makes sense, and he goes all in on it. Like, you would think Loomis might be a little more skeptical of magic. I mean, in the past, he has said Michael Myers is pure evil, but I guess Loomis believes in psychic links, so okay, but he forces Jamie, he's like, Jamie, you have to say something, you know, and it gets really in her face. You know, one of the nurses like, Doctor, please leave that little girl alone. So yeah, this movie is the most insane Loomis will get in the whole series. I mean, Loomis, they have to push the poor guy pretty hard, but I think this is the one where, you know, he's pushed to the breaking point, you know, it's a lot for the poor guy. But yeah, so Loomis is pushing Danielle Harris. He believes in the psychic link. He's trying to get clues, and yeah, he's yelling at the girl, and it's kind of crazy. But let's jump to Rachel, which is, I think personally, one of the biggest flaws in this movie. I don't know why it worked out this way. I don't know why they did this plot how they did. Rachel's parents are going out of town, so she's getting ready for Halloween, and Michael Myers, Jamie gets a vision and tries to warn her that Michael Myers is coming to the house. She gets away for a little bit, but comes right back and gets killed off. So, you know how I mentioned in my Halloween 4 review that Laurie Strode dying off-screen between sequels was the first of this movie's disappointing early protagonist death in the sequels type trope? Yeah, so now we have Rachel dying off really quick, and you know, I get, you know, it's a slasher movie, characters die, but Rachel was a good and interesting character from the last movie. To bring her in, to have her not be near as competent as she was last time, and just get killed off really early, it's one of those decisions that I'm like, why did you do that? You know, if you couldn't get the actress around for long enough, just say she left with her parents, but, you know, it's just a disappointing character death really early on, And the thing is, without Rachel there, without a character we know and care about, we're following around Rachel's friends without Rachel, and it just feels weird. Like when Rachel dies, the final girl becomes this girl named Tina, and we follow Tina around, but we obviously don't care about her near as much as Rachel, because she's the one we know. And there's moments where Danielle Harris is so glad to see her, I can't help but wonder if the script was originally written where the roles were reversed, but then, like, I don't know, something happened and they switched them. I don't know, but killing Rachel off is one of the movie's biggest flaws, and it really should have been Rachel and Tina switched places. But let's talk about Tina. Tina is the happy-go-lucky, fun-loving party girl, and, you know, she's a cheerful enough character to follow around. Oddly, though, Tina resembles very strongly Lindsay's appearance in Part 4. Like, I don't know why Tina isn't Lindsay. You know, you can recast the character, right? They're so very similar that you're like, oh, hey, Lindsay's back. Oh, no, her name's Tina. Why is that Tina? So, I don't know. And, like, the way they treat Lindsay's character, where she's just a cameo in Part 4, and then they replace her with someone in Part 5. And also, while we're at it, I meant to mention this in my Part 4 review, but why is Rachel not Lindsay, you know? Like, it would make much more sense if Rachel was just named Lindsay. I know the actress looks a little bit different, but whatever. You know, it would make more sense as the girl from Part 1 becomes your final girl for 4 and 5. But yeah, that's just kind of weird that, you know, Lindsay isn't the final girl, she's a cameo in 4, and then they make a copy of her and change her name to Tina. That's just weird. Maybe I have a weird take on it. But yeah, it's Tina and her friends, her boyfriend who drives the muscle car, who's also named Michael, and another couple. The girl in the couple is named Samantha, who they sometimes call Sammy or Sam. So that's a weird choice too. This is a movie series with a famous Michael Myers and a famous Sam Loomis, and now we have Mikey and Samantha / Sammy. It's just weird why they chose to repeat these two names, you know? It's kind of like in Twin Peaks. No, different Mike, different Bobby, you know? So, I don't know why they did this, you know? But anyway, her and her friends are gonna go to a big barn party, and, you know, you of course get Loomis trying to coordinate the cops, trying to keep them from going, and you know Michael Myers is gonna show up to the barn party, and that's where the big epic finale is gonna be. That's where they're all gonna find each other. That's where Michael Myers is going to try to kill them in the muscle car. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Mike steals Mike's muscle car, and he's driving it around trying to run over Danielle Harris. It's just such a weird weapon, and just to see him cruising around, you know, they should release merchandise of Michael Myers in his muscle car. And also, yes, this will lead to the movie's car explosion. I mentioned this in my previous reviews. The Thorn trilogy, a car explodes in every movie. I don't know why, but and Season of the Witch, there's a car explosion. And Halloween 2, yeah. All the Halloween sequels 2 through 6, there's a car explosion. I don't know what the Halloween franchise's fascination is with this, but whatever. And also with the finale, I won't spoil what it is, but there's a weird secondary finale. Like, you think the movie's gonna be over here, and then Loomis says something, and then we get another one. So it's a weird that there's a second finale tacked on, and it's weird how Loomis starts this, but whatever, it's a fun enough sequence, and I think that's kind of the thing with Halloween 5. Whatever, but it's fun enough, you know? They make weird character decisions. Rachel's gone, Danielle Harris, you know, Danielle Harris and Donald Pleasence, they do the best with what they have, and you can really see their acting chops, and you can really see them, you know, trying despite the script. But you make Danielle Harris silent, you make Loomis go super crazy, and in fact, you know, towards the end, I won't spoil it, but the final thing that Loomis does with Michael Myers is just on the goofier side as well. But, you know, despite, I don't want to hammer into this, there's a lot of fun to be had. The kills aren't as good as, you know, they had been. You know, Halloween 2, probably the highlight of the kills so far. But there are a few fun moments, and, you know, it's better than a lot of B-grade slashers. But as far as the Halloween franchise goes, this is definitely in the bottom third, you know. And it's not a bad movie by any means. It's not a great movie by any means. It's a fun so-so slasher with some goofy moments to keep you entertained, but also to make you go, why did they do that? You know, and they're running around the barn following barn cats for like 10 minutes. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things. But I'd say I did like it. I did have fun, but yeah, it's just one of those with, you know, goofy moments, and it's not near as good as, you know, Part 4 even. But it's fun enough, and if you're watching through the series, this is a fun one to do, and then you got, you know, Part 6. You thought this movie was weird. Wait till you see the weird... Yeah. The weird and bad decisions they make in this are really amped up in Part 6. But I don't know, it's been a few months since I last saw Part 6. Maybe I'll like it better this time around. I don't know. I gotta go watch that. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist at the bottom. This should be my Halloween franchise playlist. If you want to see my reviews for the past entries in this series, and a few other things like a complete collection review and some of my thoughts on, you know, other aspects of the movies, you can find those right there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Halloween franchise playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.